Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in to my Holy Priest guide for dungeons in Shadowlands. And just as a disclaimer, things might change as the expansion goes on. Things might change when Mythic Pluses drop. There might be, who knows what can happen and how things will change. This is kind of my first impression, and I just wanted to kind of disclaim this and just give you a rundown on what you should be expecting when Mythic Pluses drop, what talents you should be taking, what consumables you can take for pushing keys, our big utility spells, our big cooldowns, and show you a couple boss fights I've done in just regular Mythic Plus Zeros right now. So the first thing I'm going to be talking about is talents. So the priest talents kind of divide out into two ways. We have ones that are really good in dungeons and ones that are really good in raids. In the level 15 talents you want to take for dungeons, it's going to be Trail of Light. If you are having mana problems, you can take Enlightenment, but you really shouldn't be running out of mana on 2 to 5 minute fights in Mythic Pluses. Trail of Light gives us a lot of extra healing, so we're not wasting mana to heal, and the way Trail of Light works is it's similar to the Paladin's Beacon of Light. When you cast Flash Heal or Heal on a target and then switch to a new target to cast that spell, it's going to echo back on that first target for 35% of the spell's healing. So it's just really good spot healing in dungeons. So if your tank and a DPS are both taking damage, you just alternate flash heals or heals on both of them, and it's going to be healing both of them. In the level 25 row, hands down, take Angelic Feather every time, every day of the week. It gives you mobility, it gives your party mobility, it helps you get through dungeons faster, it helps you move around faster. It's just a huge utility spell for us, and that's really what Holy Priests are. We don't have the damage that a Disc Priest has or a Holy Paladin, but we have a lot of extra movement, a lot of extra mobility, a lot of utility as a priest to help out our group. So that's what you want to think of when you're taking talents or how you're playing your Holy Priest. In the level 30 row, we have two options. We have Cosmic Ripple or Guardian Angel. Cosmic Ripple, when your Holy Words finish their cooldown, it's going to emit a burst of light around you, and it's going to heal everyone for an amount based on your intellect. Guardian Angel makes it so that when Guardian Spirit's death effect doesn't happen, it resets the cooldown to 60 seconds. It adds a lot of extra healing because the target of your Guardian Spirit gets a lot of extra healing, and you'll be able to do it every 60 seconds if you're not letting your target die. So it's going to be really good if you have a party or friends or whatever that takes way too much damage. I just like Cosmic Ripple because I know that now that I have some gear, I'm not going to need Guardian Spirit as much, and that extra free healing is helpful. And we're playing with Apotheosis, and we're using our Holy Words a lot, so they're resetting their cooldowns, and it's getting us a lot of free healing. In the level 35 row, it's going to be dependent on the mythic you're running. I think everyone's going to have a spot that or a certain dungeon that is going to be better in. Psychic Voice is probably the worst. It reduces your cooldown of Psychic Scream by 30 seconds. The reason that's the worst is because you don't want to fear mobs into other groups, and that's just kind of common sense. Now, Censor is what I always take. We do a lot of world PvP, so I just kind of like to use this, and with Apotheosis you can have 2 4-second stuns, or you can stun one target for 6 seconds, so it makes your Chastise have a stun, so you can stun one target, pop Apotheosis, and either stun that target again with a DR, or stun a different target for 4 seconds. Shining Force is really good for saving someone and kiting. It emits a burst of light around your target, knocking all enemies back and slowing them by, I believe, 70%. So if you need to save someone, if you're kiting a group of mobs, it's really going to help with that. They're all really good. Psychic Voice is probably the weakest, but I think they're all going to have their own spot in a mythic. And again, we're utility based. We're here to help out as much as possible. Our DPS is pretty bad, so think of your priest that way. In the level 40 row, hands down, take Prayer Circle. In the clip behind, you can see I'm trying to use Binding Heal. I don't even know if I hit it on this boss fight, like more than a couple times, if at all. What Prayer Circle does is when we cast a Circle of Healing, it makes our Prayer of Healing for the next 8 seconds cast 25% faster. So what you can do is you can cast Holy Word Sanctuary, cast Circle of Healing, and then start spamming Prayer of Healings, and pretty much almost reset your Holy Word Sanctuary, and it's just super good. And again, it works well with our Cosmic Ripple. and it's our group healing ability, and this is what you'll be taking in raids as well, I believe. In the level 45 row, you can take any of them. I try to keep my Prayer of Mending on cooldown, so Benediction, when Prayer of Mending leaves a target, there's a 25% chance that it'll leave a Renew behind. We don't hardcast Renew a lot. You can still hardcast Renew, but it's a lot weaker than it has been in the past, and Benediction's gonna just kind of give us some extra free healing. You can use Divine Star in dungeons as well if your groups, are stacking up well, but Prayer of Healing or a Halo is more of our raid cooldown. You don't want to pull stuff by casting Halo because it hits enemy mobs in a 40-yard radius. It's kind of bad. You can use it in dungeons if you don't have any mobs around you, but just be very careful with Halo. And our last row of talents, the level 50 talents, you're either going to take Apotheosis or you're going to take Holy Word Salvation. I'm going to say 95% of the time to take Apotheosis if you are with a group, or you're doing a second dungeon with them, or you know that some of them just take a lot of damage. Holy Word Salvation is going to put 2 stacks of Mending on the target and a Renew, so you cast it before damage. It's kind of another oh shit save the group button, and its cooldown is reduced by 30 seconds every time you cast a Holy Word. Apotheosis makes it so that all your Holy Words reset their cooldowns, and then any spell that reduces their cooldowns, so Prayer of Healing for Holy Word Sanctuary, Smite for Chastise, it's going to do a lot more for me. It does about 18 seconds off of the 60-second cooldown, so I can cast 3 of the designated spell, and I'll have my Holy Word back off cooldown. And this is our DPS cooldown as well. So what you can do is you can cast Chastise, Apotheosis, Chastise again, start spamming Smite, get a Holy Fire out, cast Chastise again, and you can probably get Chastise off about 3 or 4 times if you can just go full DPS and not have to heal at all. But that is our talents for the Holy Priest. The next thing I'm going to talk about just a little bit is Covenant, and then we'll talk about Consumables, go over our spells a little bit, and check out some dungeon bosses. So for the enchants, you're going to want to take the Eternal Bounds enchant for your chest, which is going to increase your intellect and your mana pool by 6%. For your cloak, you're going to want to take Fortified Leech. This is going to give you some extra stamina and a little leech, so any damage you do will heal you a little bit more. For your bracers, you're going to take Eternal Intellect. For your rings, you're going to want to take the Tenet of Critical Strike. Critical Strike is a little bit better in dungeons than Mastery for the Holy Priest because crits are just going to heal a target a lot more. And then for your weapon, you're going to want to take Enchant Weapon Celestial Guidance. There's a chance that your primary stats, so intellect, will be boosted by 5%, so that's going to be really good. When Mythic Pluses drop, you're going to want to have your gear ready, fully enchanted, and then as you upgrade gear, so if you get a new ring from a Mythic +2 or you get a new weapon from a Mythic +5, go put these enchants back on just so that you can keep pushing keys and get as far as you can the first week. So when you start pushing Mythic Pluses for the first week, you're going to want to have the Spectral Flask of Power. It's going to increase your intellect a lot, and it persists through death, so your flask will stay on even if you die a couple times. So you're probably going to need one of these per dungeon when you're pushing keys. Along with that, you're going to want to have some mana potions. The channeled one, the Potion of Spiritual Clarity, might be kind of rough to use in certain situations. It might come in handy if you can just use it real quick when you're not in combat and you're going to the next pull and you only need a little bit of mana for the next pull. But I would just take some potions of Spiritual Clarity, just a few, a bunch of mana potions, and then some potions of Spectral Intellect. It increases your intellect for 25 seconds, so if you need to get a little bit more healing out or you want to pump a little more damage out, that potion is what you should use instead of using a mana pot. Once per fight on all of those as well. And then for food, it's pretty simple. You can eat from the feast, which will increase your intellect, I believe, your primary stat, or you can eat crit food. And you should probably have a bunch of these for your first week pushing Mythic Pluses. If you're running with some friends and you have some extra gold, definitely get them what they need so that you can just progress as fast as possible and push your keys as high as you're capable of. The last thing I want to go over real quick is your gems. It's pretty straightforward. You're going to take 1 Leviathan's Eye of Intellect, which is going to give you plus 18 intellect, and then any other gem slots you get after that, you're going to put in the Deadly Lava Lazuli or the Deadly Amber Blaze. which are the crit gems. And then the last thing you can take is this thing called Embalmer's Oil. You put it on your weapon, it's a weapon oil, and whenever you heal, there's a chance that it'll heal yourself for a small amount, and if you are at full health, it'll give you a small shield. So just a little bit of extra healing. If you want every tool that you can have going into your first week of Mythic Pluses, definitely grab the Embalmer's Oil. So just quickly, I want to go over why I chose Maldraxxus as my Covenant. For the Holy Priest, pick whichever one you want. Me and my friends all went a different one so that we have access to everything in the dungeons. And I just picked Maldraxxus because Unholy Nova is it's a pretty straightforward thing. You cast this AoE, it applies a dot to everything. When it hits, it heals your whole group. And then when your ally hits one target, it only works on one target with the dot on it called Unholy Transfusion, it heals them for a little bit. It kind of works well and synergizes well with our Renew, Prayer of Mending, Echo of Light, and it's just the one I wanted to go for. Really, it's not going to change much. I'm a healer. The DPS increase is very minimal. Any DPS I could have got from any other one would be very minimal. The Holy Priest is just a straight up healer, so I have a little extra healing, and then I have Fleshcraft, which just reminds me of Prydaz, just a free shield every 2 minutes. You can make it stronger around corpses. You can just use it in the middle of a boss fight to give yourself a big shield for 4 seconds and just channel it. It's really good overall, and I just wanted to say pick whichever Covenant you feel comfortable with. It doesn't really change much for the Holy Priest in general. So the last thing I want to go over is how and when to use your heals and your abilities. One thing I've looked back on old guides I've made is people asking or saying they're confused on when to do certain things, how to do certain things. So that's what we're going to go over right now. I'm going to try to break it down into 3 parts right now. So we'll go over our utility spells, we'll go over single target, and we'll go over AoE healing. Let's start with our single target, because before the tank pulls, you should put Mending on him, you should put Renew on him, and you should put a Power Word Shield. Then you should cast Shadow Word Pain, Holy Fire, and Chastise, and then you need to decide if it's time to start healing the tank, the group, or DPSing. We'll go over DPS at the end, because this is really quite simple. For single target, you're going to want to just cast Heal, and then kind of spot heal through the group with Heal because we have Trail of Light. Try to keep your Mending off of cooldown. I always try to have as many Mendings up as possible. The more targets that have Mending, if they get hit by a mechanic, if AoE starts going off, it adds a lot of free healing that you don't have to focus on. If the tank takes a big hit of damage, cast Serenity and start spamming Flash Heal. If it's a lot of damage and he's the only one taking it, cast Apotheosis, Serenity. We'll cast Serenity, Apotheosis, Serenity, Flash Heal spam, and then Serenity when it comes off cooldown every 3 Flash Heals. And again, you can kind of do that throughout the group. If only 2 people are taking damage, you can bounce using Trail of Light, using Serenity and Flash Heals. For AoE healing, just consider Apotheosis can be on or off, it doesn't matter. You pretty much want to cast Sanctify, Circle of Healing, Prayer of Healing, and then Sanctify when it's off cooldown. I tend to like to use Divine Hymn as my AoE first heal. Don't use him if you're going to have to move. Keep track of the fight, keep track of, oh, am I going to have to move here? Is something going to spawn under me? Is AoE about to happen here? Don't cast him and only channel it for 1 or 2 seconds. It happens to me sometimes. I'm like, I'm going to him, I'm going to save the group, and then something spawns under me and I'm going to have to move or it's going to one-shot me. Always be aware of that and move before you him if you need to move. Use your Guardian Spirit as your oh shit button. If you're taking Guardian Angel, the talent, feel free to use it a lot more because it's going to be up more if you don't let your targets die. And just overall, the Holy Priest has a really good flow that I think since I've played in WoD, it's always been this way, is you can switch from single target spot healing to healing the whole group to full health. You can cast Renew if you need to move and you don't have other spells that are instant cast. So if the group's like, there's a lot of big AoE rain abilities on bosses and everyone's moving around, you have to move around as well. If you don't have Serenity or Sanctify or Mending, you can get a couple renews up on people. Just try not to hard cast Renew. If you take damage, Desperate, and you think you're going to die, use your Desperate Prayer, use a Lock Rock. If you have health potions, use that. Now, let's talk about the utility a little bit. I play with a warrior, a paladin, and a monk, and a druid. So my buddies really don't need my angelic feathers. They're more for me, and you can help other people out with them, but a lot of the time, you know, a monk has so much mobility. The paladin can just run away, he can freedom himself. The warrior has charge and leap and intervene, and druids have so much mobility with cat form, displace your beast, dash, whatever you take. And with covenant abilities, angelic feather is not as good as it used to be, so I tend to use it for myself a lot. Honestly, I tend to use it as my way to get around quickly, get away from stuff. If I got to go do a mechanic like the mana storms in the other side, I'll angelic feather and I'll go disarm the bomb because I can just run over there and let my guys keep DPSing. Leap of Faith I use when someone's about to die. So I use it a lot on the tank to reposition him sometimes. So if he gets low on health, I will pull him to me 30 yards from where he is, heal him up, and let him go back to the boss or let him go back to the group. And you can do that on anyone. There's a couple other utility spells we have. We have Shackle Undead, so in dungeons or any situation where there's undead, you can shackle an undead, and they're just paralyzed for 60 seconds. We have Dispel Magic, which gets rid of a lot of shields in a lot of the dungeons. So some enemies will put shields on, and you can just, boom, click it right off with Dispel Magic. If you get aggro, use your Fade. Mass Dispel, if everyone's rooted, you can get rid of roots with Mass Dispel. If everyone has a disease on them, you can get rid of it on everyone with Mass Dispel. A lot of dungeons right now in Shadowlands seem to have been planned around Mass Dispel. Honestly, we're a lot better than other classes because we have Mass Dispel. And the last thing I should probably talk about is Power Infusion. Power Infusion is probably best on hard casters, so Destro Warlock, Fire Mage, Arcane Mage, all the mage specs. You can use it on a Shadow Priest, you can use it on an Affliction Warlock or a Demon Warlock, you can use it on really anyone. That extra haste helps, but it's mostly beneficial, I feel like, on casters that are going to be sitting there spamming out spells like Chaos Bolt, Pyroblast, Frostbolt. It lets them just get way more spells off, and your melee DPS, I run with mostly melee DPS, but melee DPS, it just lets them press their buttons a little faster. It's not as effective, but cast Power Infusion on your top DPS and make them do more DPS, honestly. If you need to burst a certain part of a fight, save Power Infusion for that second. If you want to just nuke something down from the start, just put Power Infusion on your top DPS, whether it's AoE or single target, just whoever's on the top, put Power Infusion on them. Unless you have like a buddy that's a mage or a warlock, like I was saying. So overall, the holy priest, I should say, has so much utility except for DPS. To DPS, you simply get Shadow Word Pain up, press Chastise, Apotheosis, Chastise, Holy Fire, Spam Smite, Chastise whenever it's up. That's our DPS. Shadow Word Death when something gets low. If you want to get the KB and not take the damage, get the KB and not take the damage. But we really don't do DPS. We're here to help. We're here to move people around, speed people up, get rid of magic shields. Just so much we can do on the side of utility, and that's where the Holy Priest is base. You can flow between all three states very well. DPS to single target healing to AoE healing. Mix between all of them, like swapping back and forth constantly. You know, try to get your Shadow Word Pain up whenever you can on a boss, so you're doing just that little extra damage that might help at the end of the fight. Really try to utilize everything in your kit as much as possible. Every spell on my bar, I'm looking at it right now, has a use. Every spell has a sick and amazing use that can either make or break a good priest. I hope that helps. If you have any questions in the comment, or if you have any questions, leave them in the comments. I'm here to help and teach, and if anyone has some more insight that I don't, please leave it in the comments and let people know. So just to wrap things up, if you have any questions, please feel free to leave a comment. I'll try to respond to as many as I can. Since no one has legendaries yet, I'll probably do which priest legendaries are the best later on. After I get my hands on them, I'm going to try them out. Again, this is all through my experience. I'll probably release a Torghast video talking about what talents to take. You know, definitely try to run with the group. Don't try to solo this stuff is holy. It's a rough time. So yeah, I'll talk about Torghast and legendaries in a different video. I'll talk about the raid in a different video, how to raid heal, because it is a little different than doing dungeons and being the primary healer of a group, which you really do excel at, and you're even better in raids, honestly. Holy Priests on progression seem to be one of the top healers in my opinion. Just what you'll be able to, the throughput you'll have in healing with mending, salvation, hymn, prayer circle. It's gonna be fun to raid heal on the Holy Priest for sure. So we'll talk about all this stuff in a different video, a couple different videos, and that's what I'm planning on releasing soon. So if you're Holy Priest, please remember to hit that subscribe button, and we'll talk more about the Holy Priest. Just to go off on a tangent, if you don't care, you're just here for the guide, feel free to leave. But I am planning on playing a Shaman next, either a Shaman or a Death Knight. Healing on the Shaman, the Death Knight would just be so that other people in my group of friends and people I tend to play WoW with can play a different spec. I might even play Blood so that my buddy that tanks can play DPS, we'll see. But I am planning on playing a couple of vaults. I do kind of want to carry my priest all the way through the entire expansion. For every patch, every little thing that changes, I want to see how the priest changes, how the game changes, how good the priest does. I know that on progression, we're going to be very strong, and I know that once things are on farm, we might fall off. I'll probably do some disc stuff as well, especially when we fall off, because once you have better healers and everyone has gear, the Holy Priest just tends to fall off, and that's the sad reality of Holy. It's always happened to me every time I've played Holy, is I end up being so good on progression, and then when we get stuff on farm, you're just not as useful as other classes. I am going to link my Twitch down below. You can see it on screen now. I'm going to be trying to do some WoW streaming and just pumping out content on healers and WoW in general. And I am going to be switching off and doing some other things once in a while. I have a bunch of RuneScape stuff backlogged right now. Just tons of RuneScape content that I've tried to work on over the last like 6 months. I do want to do some stuff with some shooters I've been playing. Apex Legends, Rogue Company, we'll see where that goes. But I'm here to make guides, here to make content. I'm going to try and find some stuff to do daily with the priest, with healers, and with other games. So we'll just have to see how everything pans out. Thank you very much for watching. I appreciate it if you got all the way to the end. If you watch this all the way to the end, leave a comment that says pineapple. I'll know that you were one of the few that made it all the way through this it's going to be about a 25-minute video. And yeah, hope everyone has a happy Thanksgiving and happy holidays, and take care. Thank you for watching.